Hello everyone. So this final video is going to be shorter than the others. The goal is just for me to talk through the proposal assignment. So the assignment you're doing right now today is writing that research paragraph, and I'll give you guys feedback on that soon. But we're going to be working on for Monday is the proposal for your final essay. So I just want to go over to the website to talk you through the example that's there. And of course, you guys can contact me if you have any questions while you're working on it. So as you can see, by Monday the 19th, I'm asking for you to do the proposal. So let me just go over the questions now, and then we'll look at the student example. The questions, the first one is, which social issue are you interested in exploring? And what are some possible impacts, right? So again, the whole point of this essay is to think about the impacts, not the causes, but the results of your issue, right? And so you should be listing any impacts you can think of, even if you have 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 at this point. Really what I want to see in your proposal is just that you're thinking about it, and we can talk about narrowing it down. And one thing that I will mention here is we talked about having a broad versus a narrow scope. We did the whole exercise where we were practicing that. So even though I'm not asking you to do an outline yet and you don't need a thesis, keep that in mind as you're deciding what the impacts might be and what kind of research you might be planning for. The second question, why are you interested in this topic? We always go over that. Think about your personal investment. And again, because you're looking at an American social issue, thinking about your interpretation of this issue or your thoughts on it, maybe as somebody from outside of America. What kind of response might your audience have? Again, maybe what is the global perspective of this topic? What makes it uniquely American? And then what are some possible research terms or topics? So this is a little bit different from the impacts because the impacts might be your particular terminology or phrasing, but for the research terms and topics, you're going to need to create search terms, basically, right? What are some specific phrasings that you might be able to utilize as you're going into the databases and Google Scholar and Google? So let's open up the student model, which you have here on the website and also on courses. So this is about the social issue or social concept of interracial relationships. So the student says here, possible impacts, entertainment casting, complicating the traditional family dynamic, cultural appropriation from spouses. We talked about this before, cultural appropriation being the situation when somebody puts on the situation of a different culture, right? Either in my speaking patterns and the way that I dress and things like that. Mixed race kids and identity challenges. So these are 4, right? Again, you could list even more than that. If you only have 2 in mind right now, list whatever you have and I can give you advice, keeping in mind you need between 3 and 4 total. So really here, this is going to give me a stronger sense of whether you have a broad or narrow scope. As you can see here, the scope is rather broad for this particular paper. It's looking at entertainment, it's looking at family and spouses, and it's looking at kids. So it is very much tied to family, obviously given the topic itself, but it's rather broad in the research possibilities. Number 2, why you're interested. The student says, I'm interested in this topic because it's something that's not very common in my home country, but it feels very frequent here in the US. I think it's an issue that has particular relevance in such a diverse place, but I also understand that there are still a lot of racial conflicts happening currently, so I think the responses will be fascinating and also useful for me as a current American resident. So I really want you guys to put a lot of thought into this for this paper. Something that makes this final essay a little bit different from the previous ones is that I'm basically going to ask you to think as an outsider on what this issue means within America. So you might begin your introduction by contextualizing things in your own cultural understanding of this topic and then looking at how it impacts Americans. So take a lot of time thinking about why you've selected this topic and what it means for you. Third question, or third response, I think my audience will find this topic interesting as well, since they're all from places outside the US and have most likely noticed the really unique dynamic of race relations. You guys have done this question a lot in your other proposals, but basically, what is something that you have to offer for your audience? Topics to research. So again, the whole point here is not what are you going to phrase in your thesis, but what are some search terms you can use in your exploration of the database, and Google Scholar. So the first one, interracial marriage laws and regulations, and this is just the reasoning for historical context. Statistics on interracial marriages, right, past versus now. Depiction of interracial families in various entertainment forms. So this is a really useful and important perspective or goal, right, because keep in mind that you guys need to have pop cultural examples. So you might not need to do a search in all of these areas. You can figure out the kind of examples you want, but this has given me a strong sense of where the student is headed. So he or she could easily do a search that says interracial families in TV or interracial families in advertising, etc. Even sources on those specific areas could work as well. The typical interracial family versus typical American family. So you definitely should be doing some investigation of specific entertainment and pop culture examples, but you should also be doing some investigation of American culture on a broader scale. So the idea of the family is a really good source, would find some really good sources for the paper. And then social responses, again, this is something that is really, really important given the fact that the whole goal is to look at the impact of this concept. So you should be looking for things in your research that show you whether people support or disagree and what is it that they're saying in regard to your topic. So this is what you're working on the website. Right now I'm on the 101 class page. Each class page at the top now lists what everyone has selected, so you can see this here. For the 101 or the 101 class, for my 02 class, I have the names here. So if you decide to change between now and Monday when the proposal is due, that's fine. Just let me know and make sure that you're not choosing something that another person has already selected. So again, this is what you're working on for 3 days from now. If you have any questions, let me know, but I think it should be pretty straightforward. So good luck and enjoy your proposals. I will talk to you all soon. Goodbye.